Hey everyone, Wingblaze here for EGN Productions, and I'm just here to talk a bit today about why Majora's Mask is one of my personal favorites in the Zelda universe. So, Ocarina of Time is a good game, and no one will blame you for picking that as a personal favorite. But personally, I've always had a soft spot for Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is often regarded as, one of the darker games in the series, and that's true. I'd say Ocarina of Time is sort of dark in the classic fantasy epic sort of dark way, but Majora's Mask is like a Grimm's fairy tales dark. Like it's dark, but it also has sort of a whimsy behind it. And I sort of really like that aesthetic about it, and I appreciate all the risks Majora's Mask took, and how different it was compared to any other games in the series. One of the things, definitely seems like it's one of those games that I come to appreciate even more as I grow older, and I think that has a lot to do with there's a lot of really interesting things to say about growing up and relationships and loss, and like right off the bat, it explores right out of the gate. It explores those themes in really interesting, complex ways. So at the beginning of the game, or rather at the end of Ocarina of Time, Navi leaves Link at the end of the game, and Navi really symbolized innocence and childhood, and her departure is, matches his maturing as a character. And I sort of look at this as kind of alluding to losing friends and relationships as you mature. And that's not something that's really talked about, and it's not a message that's in a lot of games aimed at younger people, but it's definitely a very true one. People will come and go all throughout your life, and it explores these ideas in really interesting ways. The Deku form is the most childlike, and it's the one you start out the game in. It's even smaller than Link himself, who's still a kid, even though he's a little older than he was in Ocarina of Time. But it links back to OOT, and it sort of underscores the limitations of childhood. That form is even weaker than Link is in his basic human form, less powerful. And in that form, he gains a new companion in Tattle, very similar to Navi, who also loses a friend of hers in the form of Skullkid. And she sort of begrudgingly helps Link at first, but eventually comes to respect him. And obviously the first portion of the game, the southern swamp part of the adventure, deals with the Deku tribe. And the Deku butler gives you the Mask of Sense, and when he does so, he says you remind him of his son, who has gone away. Now, the transformation masks in this game essentially come from the essence of another's being, sealed within the mask. And if you remember that sort of sad-looking tree at the beginning of the game, that's the butler's son. And so, obviously, that sort of underscores the theme of loss in this game, as does the events surrounding the Gorons in the mountains near Snowhead. That portion of the quest obviously revolves around the Goron tribe, who has lost their hero, Darmani, who was killed when he tried to save the village by himself. Now, Link takes on his form to save the village, and is aided by the song taught to him by the Goron Elder and his child. This reinforces some of the themes of childhood, and asking for help from others, which is something Darmani sort of failed to do with his rashness. Sort of went off and thought he could solve the problem all by himself. And it wasn't until Link comes along with more of a respect for his limitations and understanding how necessary it is to have help from others and collaborate with others, that he is able to do something. And Darmani finally is able to accept help from others by granting Link the ability to carry on this quest. And not being able to collaborate because of our perceived notions of adulthood is, again, sort of reinforced by the Great Bay portion of Link's quest, and the Zoras there who need his help. The Zoran hero, Mikau, who tries to retrieve the stolen egg from the pirates, is eventually defeated and mortally wounded by them. And the rest of the Zoras are unable or unwilling to help due to some combination of either timidness or stubbornness, much like how their band leader is unwilling to listen to criticism from the rest of his band. And upon taking Mikau's form, Link buries him and inscribes an epitaph on his grave, sort of alluding again to loss and that due to the dead. And their refusal to collaborate, which is what leads to their downfall, is underscored by the fact that the Zora eggs can only hatch when they're all together, and as soon as they're all brought together, they teach Link the song needed to wake the Guardian Turtle, suggesting that the sort of youthful collaborations of childhood is the natural state that they should be in, but aren't. Now, the events at Romani Ranch... At Romani Ranch, the older sister Cremia looks down upon her younger sister Romani's insistence that they do something to stop these aliens who are coming to steal these cows, but she ignores Romani because she's just a child and she doesn't take her seriously. But before Link intervenes, without his intervention, Cremia would lose her ranch's livelihood and her sister's possible sanity. There's that theme of loss again, but obviously Link rescues the ranch, and Cremia takes notice of his selflessness by telling him she considers that she considers him an adult, and that sort of explores the point that it isn't physical strength or age that makes one an adult, but it's their willingness to collaborate, to help, and to accept the tough lessons of life that makes, with maturity, that makes one an adult. So in the final area of the game, the Iconic Canyon area, that area deals with the themes of death and loss. Those themes take on an even greater prevalence than before. There are only a few living individuals in that area. The rest of the area is inhabited by the ghosts of the ninjas who continue to spy long after they've passed, and skeletal soldiers who continue to fight a war that has long since ended. King Akana, the king of the dead, after Link defeats him, he provides Link with a tool to take down the fourth boss, a song that will allow him to cast images of the souls that travel with him via these masks to assist him. So essentially, even though these bodies have gone from the world, like the souls, like their experience, still travel with him and make him stronger. Or to look at that another way, even though the relationships you formed throughout your life, even though these people may not be directly in your life, those experiences still make you stronger. And that's something very important to realize. And in addition to that, each of the 4 areas outside Clocktown have lost something very important. They've come to tragedy and ruin in some form or another. And only by accepting the situation and understanding what their losses mean can they move on. When Link leaves the land of Termina at the end of the game, so too will the heroes of these lands. But as we've seen, sort of accepting loss and the changes that life throws at us is part of being an adult. And then finally there's the showdown with Majora itself. We find out that the Skull Kid has been possessed by the spirit of Majora's Mask. The Skull Kid lashed out at people because he was lonely and depressed, and he lets the mask's power take him over unintentionally, and he unintentionally harms the people he cares about through the mask's influence. I think that's a really great point about how we need to be sort of mindful of our actions and how we need to take responsibility for them. And all this might seem like that. All this may make the game seem like it's incredibly dark and depressing. While the game might be dark in a lot of ways, I'd argue that there's a lot of hope to be found within it as well. The game is a salute to what we can accomplish when we are united. Only once all the regions of the game have been saved and united can the falling moon be stopped and Majora's Mask defeated. And the Carnival of Time, which, seems like it wouldn't happen, now occurs and is a testament to the beautiful art and culture we can create when we work together. So it's about how being an adult and maturing in your life can give you closure and acceptance over the tragedies in your life. Just as Navi represents the things and people we leave behind in our childhood, becoming an adult means accepting that these things will change and moving on. I'm sure you've had, people. I think we've all had people we were once close with drift away, and it might be hard, but accepting it will enable you to move on. Time is like an ocean. The people in your life will be borne away out to sea by the tides, and given time, maybe the tides will bring them back to you, or it might not. But like driftwood, sort of, it will always be bringing the new challenges, new people, new experiences to you. Accepting those changes and being okay with yourself is part of being an adult. And just to sort of end this off correctly, we should recall what the Happy Mask salesman says at the end of the game. Whenever there's a meeting, a parting is sure to follow. However, that parting need not last forever. Whether parting be forever or merely for a short time, that is up to you. So, and on that note, I'm done here. So yeah, I think Majora's Mask is definitely one of those games that has a special place in my heart, and I think it just gets better with age. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.